Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Read Write Mike podcast. I think this is episode 5. And right now we're just focusing on the free vocabulary curriculum that aligns to reading units of study for grades 3 to 5. Did I say that already? And it's free. I didn't say that. It's free. And so it has just been, first units have just been released. So this is coming out late July. And so make sure you subscribe and get yours while you can get in while the getting's good, so to speak. You can connect with me on most social media. You can check out readwritemike.com. Lots of places where you can do that if you're not yet connected. Today, I want to say a little bit more about one of the early types of games or activities that you do with kids in the vocabulary curriculum. And I started talking a little bit about it last episode when we talked about example, non-example games, or as I call them in my iteration, I call them yay or nay games. There's 2 others that I want to share with you today, and those will pop up from time to time in the units. And they are called, the first one's called Which Woulda Coulda Shoulda, and then the other one is called Would You Rather. And both of these are some examples of example, non-example games that are great. And as we talked about last time, example, non-example activities or games are great for any content. Once you first teach content to kids, a great thing to do is to say, now I kind of want to do some low stakes quizzing. Do you know the thing or not? Can you say back to me that, can you identify the thing? I'm going to give you some examples. You say yay or nay, yes or no. Because essentially what you'll notice as we go through these activities is the vocabulary curriculum is trying to get kids to learn words deeply. So essentially what we're doing is we're kind of taking the words through Bloom's taxonomy or Webb's depth of knowledge so that they can use them at more deeper and flexible ways, right? Comparing words, transferring words to their speech and talk, using the words figuratively if it's possible. So let's get started. The first one I want to talk about is called Which Woulda Coulda Shoulda. And let's see if we can find a good example of it. Let's use from the 5th grade interpretation book clubs. So the idea here is to give a couple of different examples using the word. So which might be the thing that you prefer, the thing that you would choose, A or B, X or Y, the thing with the word or the thing with the not word. And so what I try to do is I try to actually make the the decision making a little bit tricky. Like maybe you might pick differently than your partner, and that's okay as long as you can justify it. And then in some of the cases, it's pretty obvious. Like there is probably one that you would pick. But for example, you could say, let's play this game and I'll present a situation, and I want you to tell your partner what would be the most likely scenario that fits. And then always with all these activities, you always want to say why. So in this unit, one of the words is that comes up in Home of the Brave for interpretation book clubs is shame. And so you can say, what might cause you shame? Talking back to your mom or talking back to a sibling. Now, this one's pretty clear. Most people would probably say talking back to mom, but a kid could say, oh, I feel more shame talking back to my sibling for XYZ reason. I'd feel bad about myself or whatever. Again, the point is they don't use the answer that you want them to get. The point is they give you an answer that reveals they know the word. Right. So here's another one. I think this is another good one. I think you might think differently. Which might be something worthy of honor, having perfect attendance or having the loudest burp? Right now, depending on your point of view, you might pick one or the other. And here's another indication of how I write these units from the perspective of kids. And so if you feel like, Mike, my sensibilities, I would never talk about burping being honorable in my classroom, by all means, revise it. You could, once you get used to these activities, you can revise them improvisationally off the cuff. Do them better than I do them, but just know sometimes I get a little saucy. I try to think from kids' point of view. What are they going to enjoy? And I think this is my intention anyway. I think the reason why teachers said this is the best part of our year, the best part of our day or the best part of our year, is because of little things like this, where kids can laugh and learn the words and they can make a justification for why they think burping loudly is more honorable, right? Fine. If you can make the justification by showing you know what the word means, that's all I care about. In fact, you're being quite clever about it. What else here? Which might be more mischievous, hiding your teacher's favorite pen until she realizes it's gone, or chewing on your own homework and saying your dog ate it? Wow. It's like I'm the person I'm laughing at my own jokes here. Like, but I'm enjoying this, just like rereading it. This is fun for me. And I hope your kids find it fun too. Like, which do you think would be more mischievous? I think that's great. I think the intent of Beck and McKeon when they made these is that one was supposed to be more clearly the right answer than not. And so if you want, maybe you could steer more in that direction. But I kind of like this idea of having it be more interpretive. Show me you know what the word means and pick one of the sides. Which is more harmless, reading for 1 hour or taking a test for 45 minutes, right? Pick one and say why. Which is more of an inquiry, saying how authors write beginnings or drinking an entire carton of milk in one long drink. So that's the example of which, woulda, coulda, shoulda, where kids connect this word to different examples that you give, and then they have to justify why, showing that they know what the word means. Okay. So we talked about which, woulda, coulda, shoulda, and the next example, non-example game I want to share with you is called Would You Rather. Of course, as a reminder, example, non-example games are played every time you introduce any of the words through the yay or nay game. But which, woulda, coulda, shoulda, and the one I'm going to share with you now, would you rather, these might appear outside on their own day or after you introduce some words. So the next one I want to share with you is also from Interpretation Book Clubs, and play a little game called Would You Rather. Now, what I intend to do is I intend to put up, sometimes it's a dilemma, that'll be kind of fun. I'm an older brother, so like putting people in decision dilemmas is always a fun thing to do. But what I try to do is I usually use one or maybe sometimes two of the words in the would you rather situation. So it sounds like, I'm going to share a few real world examples with you and offer you a choice between two of our vocabulary words. For instance, if I say, would you yearn for or feel weary about a giant chocolate cake? You might reply, I yearn for the cake, but because I really like it and I haven't had it for a while, right? But again, a child could respond, I might feel weary of chocolate cake. I have been eating so much chocolate cake, or if I have to eat that whole cake, I would feel really weary after that. I feel really exhausted mentally and physically. So again, the point is that kids aren't giving you the response that you want to hear or that you might give. The point is they are giving a response that shows what they know. And that's why kids, I think, really enjoy this. So you see an example here. Here's one that's kind of a nice decision dilemma. Would you rather sleep in a bed that was teeming with pillows or teeming with blankets? Why? And it might be depending on the kind of year, what kind of sleeper you are. You might prefer one or the other. Would you feel weary or uneasy if your teacher assigned you 3 hours of homework tonight? Why? Now that one's, I tried to use two of the words there, and that's a little complex. Maybe you feeling mentally exhausted, or maybe you feel anxious or nervous, or maybe kid might say both, right? The next one says, would you rather be tending a garden or tending a puppy? So I guess not all these decision dilemmas I put are like the negative ones. These are positive ones. These are nice ones that you can think about. Would you yearn more for $100 or a week of vacation from school? Why? So you can see how you're using the words to come up with some sort of, in this case, I like to make little decision dilemmas, and you could create your own. Once you get to know your kids more and what they're like, you could create your own would you rathers using the words. And again, that is always my hope in this curriculum, is that it not only gives you fish, but it teaches you to fish, that you can do this off your cuff. You can come up with some good would you rathers just by looking at the words and using your knowledge of kids and having a fun time with it. So we have talked about some example, non-example games. Last week, we talked about yay or nay, which is a game that you play every time you introduce a word. And this week, we talked about which, woulda, coulda, shoulda, and we talked about would you rather. I think these are some pretty fun games that sometimes gives kids options of either some sort of decision dilemma or kind of steers them in one direction or not, so that they can show you their knowledge of the word. One thing to notice in these example, non-example games is you are still providing the examples. You are still providing the situations, and they just basically have to show kind of like yes or no, do they know what the word means? When we start moving into what Beck and McKeown and Kukin would call word associations, we're still going to be providing all the examples for kids for the most part. but they're going to be more like, the switchboard operator, where you're connecting, helping, you give kids a bank of words, you give kids a bank of examples, and the kids have to kind of connect between the words and examples to show what they know. So week by week, we'll talk about different ways that you can play with the words, fun activities, brief turn and talks. All these things are quick turn and talk activities where kids can start learning the word at a deeper level, because that's the goal of the curriculum. Let's learn some words deeply, while in reading workshop, you're learning a lot of words, maybe at a more shallow level. So let's complement the breadth of word acquisition with the depth of word acquisition. Okay, have a wonderful week. Catch you next week with episode 6. Till then, take care. Be well.